Most of us have been told, at some point, that we just need to find our place. As if belonging were a hidden location, and once you get there, everything would finally make sense. But philosophy offers a way of thinking about belonging. Instead of asking where we fit, it asks what part of ourselves we bring into the world we enter. Hi, I'm Anastasia, and in this talk, I want to explore how philosophers understood belonging, and why many of them believed it begins long before we meet anyone else. To do that, I'll use a simple metaphor, a bridge between who we are and the home we find. To make sense of belonging, we can think about it in two ways: the inner side, our self and identity, and the outer side, the world and the communities we belong to. Let's start with the inner side. One philosopher who thought deeply about belonging was Søren Kierkegaard. He believed that before we can truly belong anywhere, we first need to understand ourselves. Imagine a first day in a new group. You notice the way others act, the topics they discuss, and the jokes they make. You start adjusting how you speak, what you show interest in, and what you hold back. The goal isn't to express yourself, it's to fit in. And this is where the bridge metaphor comes in. And the bridge each one of you imagines right now is different, because belonging is personal. Identity isn't something we announce, it's something we build slowly. And only when that foundation is built can we enter spaces with stability, carrying our identity with us through what's precious without losing it. Frantz Fanon looked at belonging from a different perspective. While Kierkegaard focused on the self we build, Fanon showed that sometimes the world tries to build us instead. Society, culture, or history can impose identities on us, telling us who we are supposed to be long before we have a chance to decide for ourselves. Imagine a student being labeled the quiet one or the troublemaker from day one. Even if they act differently, those labels stick, shaping how others respond and how the student begins to see themselves. They might adjust their behavior to match the label, not because it feels true, but because it's expected. We act according to someone else's idea of us, and never truly feel like we can be ourselves. In a way, it's like someone else drew the path for us. No matter how carefully you walk, it was never designed for our steps. Another philosopher who thought deeply about belonging was Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He explored the tension between our natural self and the expectations society places on us. Even when we understand who we are, we often face pressure to act in ways that others expect, rather than what feels authentic. Imagine you like writing poetry, but all of your friends are into sports. You might pretend to be into sports just to fit in. Rousseau would argue that this tension between our natural self and the society's demands makes belonging feel uneasy. Now that we've explored the inner side, understanding ourselves and reclaiming our identity, let's focus on the outer side, how our individuality interacts with the world and the communities we belong to. John Stuart Mill showed that our individuality is essential for both people and the communities we belong to. Each person brings something unique, ideas, perspectives of way of acting that can make a group feel stronger. Belonging isn't about blending in, it's about showing up as yourself and being accepted for who you truly are. Think about it, are people really your friends if they can't understand your points of view, interests, or simply accept you for who you are? Nietzsche warned us about the herd mentality, where people shrink themselves to match the group. If you give up your uniqueness just to fit in, you might be accepted, but you never truly belong, because you're not bringing the real you into the space. So what's the point if everyone's just going to be pretending? Charles Taylor looked at belonging from a different perspective. He argued that our identity isn't formed in isolation, but develops through our relationship with others. When people recognize us for who we truly are, it strengthens our sense of self and makes belonging possible. In other words, even with the strongest bridge needs something on the other side to connect to. Recognition from others helps us reach it. Think about a moment when someone noticed you, not in a big, dramatic way, but genuinely. A teacher who said, "Wow, you're actually really good at this." Or a friend who encouraged you when you're about to give up. Nothing about you changed that moment, but your confidence did. That recognition didn't create your identity, but helped you believe in it. The lesson from these philosophers is simple. Communities thrive when people are themselves. Belonging works best not when we imitate others, but when we contribute our own unique identity. All of these thinkers we create. The inner side, understanding ourselves and reclaiming our identity, staying true despite societal pressures, formed the foundation of the bridge. Kierkegaard, Fanon, and Rousseau show that without that foundation, we risk building on shaky ground. The outer side, showing up as ourselves, staying true, and being recognized by others, completes the bridge. Mill, Nietzsche, and Taylor teach us that belonging works best when our inner self uses the word authentically. When that bridge is strong, we can enter any space with stability. We carry our identity with us rather than constantly changing it to fit expectations. And that brings us to the heart of it. You can't belong anywhere if you're a stranger to yourself. So the home we seek isn't somewhere out there, but it begins with the steps we take on the bridge we build every day. A bridge that begins inside of us, grows with our uniqueness, and reaches to the recognition of others. Thank you.